club. I imagine a lot of men would love to tour this and to
I've got
see
people
what you're
come
doing.
from all over, you know, buy cannons from me. I've got guys all over the world.
Now, you said that on the majority of the cannons, they are, so are they aluminum or are they bronze?
Bronze.
They're all bronze then?
No, well then I've got another idea we had, and I call them brain farts. But we took, there's some guys out in the west coast that they've got too much weight with the bronze guns in their ships because they do excursions up on San Francisco and that, in the bays. And what I did was I took high tensile tubing, and then I figured it out to blade in a mold. And what I do then is I cast the rest of the barrel out of aluminum. So you've got high tensile tubing that won't explode because we tried. We couldn't blow it up. We shook houses 5 miles away. We couldn't blow up the tubing. But we take that aluminum.
You're not a neighbor everybody would appreciate, right?
Everybody likes me, except the fire chief. But anyway.
Okay.
But we take the aluminum barrels that are a third the weight of bronze. So I've been selling quite a few to them. I sold some to Puerto Rico for the weight factor, and they shoot really great. And so we're probably going to start using them more for movie props.
Very neat.
The aluminum barrels.
What do you feel when you finished one? When you started it from making the mold to then pouring it and doing all the different sanding or filing off, or what did you call that when you like that piece there?
Grind your parting
grinding
line.
it off. Okay. Yeah. What do you feel like when you put it together? Either you deliver it or they come pick it up.
Neat. Well, that's like when I delivered
you take
that.
Pictures like it's your babies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when we delivered the 1,800-pound barrel. Guy put it in his garage, in his office.
Wow.
And he had his office built like a ship's cabin, and he had this cannon put in it just like on Master and Commander, and a huge 1,800. He had to rebuild the whole underneath of the floor because it's a second story to hold the weight. Just the barrel was 1,800 pounds.
Do they know what they want? The majority of people, when they order something, they just say, "Oh, just build me a cannon," or
well,
do they say, "No, I want it to look like"?
I mean, I've got some pictures on my website on Gillmor Don't put an I in the Ordnance. It's Ordnance, no I in there.
Okay.
But you go to that, there's a few pictures on there of different things I've cast. But most people generally know what they want. Because I've got what Mark's working on right now is a 3-pounder for Shepherd Shoreline carriage. I made him last summer. He's got a Maltese cross on it. I made that for him. And then we've got another one. I've got to do another 3-pounder. It's on full. I make all my carriages out of walnut, and that one will go to Cleveland. And that's another guy that does reenacting. So that's a 3-pounder for him. And we're custom building him a carriage, and I'll custom cast him a barrel with whatever ciphers he wants on it. So yeah, and
has there ever been an order that you thought, well, maybe this time I can't do it?
The big one, when I did a 2,800-pound casting. Yeah, I can make my crane I built in here wouldn't even lift it. I had to bring in. Yeah.
And so did everything? You poured enough?
That big furnace down there will hold 2,200 pounds of bronze. That's a big tilt furnace. I put it on railroad tracks.
But you said the cannon was 28?
Yeah, so I had to take the lift out and the tilt and pour them at the same time. I had to have some help on that.
Now, earlier when we were watching you do some pouring, I didn't realize I was walking over top of
3-foot deep pit. Yeah, that's one of the things I got out of my manuals, because I'm one of the only guys in the country that do this, is cast them the old style. When you cast a barrel, you look at it, you pour it down the muzzle, okay? You've got the density of your metal. Your molecules are being packed as you pour that metal in. And all your junk floats to the top. So you put a big deadhead, see that there? That's a deadhead.
Okay.
And then this is where the metal goes down in. And as that fills up, those molecules are packed really tight. And then your crap floats out the top, and it's packed real well. And when you get done, I cut it off, and then I never had any. Then it goes to the machine shop. And anyway, people didn't do it the way I wanted, so I built my own machine shop. So now I bore out all my own barrels. So I've got one 11-foot bed lathe, and the big barrel I did, that took me 17 hours to bore it out. And I used spade bits, which guys said wouldn't work, and I've used for 8 years is spade bits to bore out my own barrels. I've done bores up to 5.8 2-inch bore, and bored them out.
Now, using your terminology, the crap that comes out of the top, what's that? What is
Slag.
that? Okay.
It's just impurities in the metal. Like when we were putting that aluminum in there, sometimes you've got, like those rims, car rims, you've got dirt and things in them.
So it separates, huh?
Now my gunmetal is usually pretty good because I buy certified gunmetal. Now I do make my own gunmetal sometimes, but I most generally have good luck buying it certified. It comes in ingots, but it's like gold now. When I first started doing this, I was buying it for 80 cents a pound. That was 10, 12 years ago. Now it's over $7.
Wow.
Because of, anyway, I'm not going to get into our
Your finances, no, it's quite a lot. Now, do all of these cannons, they will all shoot? They're all fired?
That's no fun if you don't shoot. They gotta shoot.
Do you make the balls as well? Cannonball?
Usually we, like the one over there, that big pattern there on that machine,
Yeah.
that shoots golf balls.
Golf balls.
I can put a golf ball right through a power pole. No problem.
Jeez.
And
Want to
usually
talk about your
everything
neighbors again?
and then you know, certain bores we can shoot soup cans, beer cans, you know, fill them with cement. They'll go for miles. And you know, sometimes we make them like the GI Joe here. This is one of my better seller scale cannons. It shoots Civil War musket balls, 58 caliber mini balls, and they will pop a hole right through the truck.
So what's the actual size of this when it's completed?
It's right there, right the aluminum.
There to there?
There to
Okay.
there. And I'll show you a finished one in the office.
Do you have to do anything to the inside of the cannon to help it with firing?
Well, that's where
Treat it?
I machine them all. No, we don't treat them, because if you use certified gunmetal, that's got 60,000 pounds per square inch tensile strength. Black powder at its best will generate 18,000. Now, unless somebody's a foolish person, which I've sold some cannons to, they'll use smokeless powder, which is do not want to do. It'll blow them up every time because it's a black powder gun. And I've had a couple instances where people have taken smokeless powder because they had it when they were reloading guns and use it, and they'll blow the gun completely apart. Nobody's ever been hurt. But when I sell these cannons, I sell them as non-firing replicas. When they bore their vent in the breech to fire them, that's their baby.
Yeah.
Unless I know them and they've gone through where I've taught them. Like in the last Samurai movie, I had 50 Japanese that didn't speak English. I had to teach to shoot cannons. So that was...
How'd that go over?
Went real well.
Movie
I'll
worked,
tell you,
right?
they were... I was impressed. They were really wonderful people to work with. They had a work ethic that was just incomprehensible. I mean, they initially, I took enough people with me to New Zealand to fire the cannons and load them ourselves, and then we just step them in and shoot them. But these guys got on it so well that they were loading and firing in cannons because they learned my commands. There's a little of their speech, and because the guys they gave me out of 350 were supposed to be the worst of everybody, and well, when I started there,
The worst what?
of the soldiers they had there, they gave me the F troop. Well, when I got done with them, they sent the other guys home and kept my guys.
All right.
Because they didn't teach the way I taught, and I ended up teaching the guys who were supposed to do the infantry. I taught them the Civil War tactics. They just come off wind talkers. They didn't know how to do the Civil War stuff. Luckily, I took my manuals with me from the Civil War, and I had to teach the guys how to do it that taught the Japanese. So
Sure.
they didn't have quite the same.
Now is that
They
when
gave
you?
them to me to store them till they do 1776. And then now with doing this Lewis and Clark, we build the bateaus and the canoes. I'll have them for props for 1776. So everything's going to come full circle. We get it all done.
Now remind me why people say this is a hobby. It's
Well,
not sounding like
when I got
one.
my first movie, it was in 2001. That's when I did Gods and Generals, and I gave up my real job then to do this full time. So this is basically what I do now.
And what was your real job? That
I drove a snowplow. I was a heavy equipment operator for the township.
well, I'd say this is quite a real job.
Yeah, everybody said I was crazy to do it, but I'm just used to that.
Yeah. Yeah, I asked your father what he thought of all this.
But yeah, something else we've gotten into here is I've been an instructor out at Camp Perry with the Sea Cadet program. That's out of Port Clinton, and that's a lot of fun. I'm an instructor, and we've got 2 tugboats, 3 LCM-8 landing craft, and those are World War II. The landing craft are Vietnam era, the tugboats are World War II. I've got an LCVP from it's Korean War vintage. It's a wood one, Higgins boat with a ramp. I picked that up in the weeds out at Catawba Island. And we're restoring that one. We've got 2 more fiberglass LCVPs, so that's something else I'm really into.
Were you in the military?
Nope.
No?
No, I built my sawmill. I was going to go in the Marines, and I built a sawmill and bought a whole bunch of lumber, and I went into the lumber business. And
Do you feel like you're in the military by doing all this, or being, creating
yeah,
something?
then I don't have to take orders.
You said you were married, Tom.
Yeah.
Bob, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have our own little thing. She just leaves. As long as I keep my stuff on this side of the driveway, she's happy. So. Plus, she gets to meet actors and different things.
Well,
and all
sure,
the perks
sure.
that I get.
Well, this is really neat. You wanna go over to your
Yeah.
workshop over there, and we'll talk